Welcome to the segment of the Sisters Cafe podcast. I am here today with the creator, the visionary, the founder of Swagher magazine and media. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you for being my guest. I appreciate you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
So, how's your Saturday going?
Oh, it's been going well. I shot some content earlier, so I'm in a good mood. That always
Nice.
helps. Yeah.
Now, is that what you usually do? Is your day full of more content than anything else? I mean, you are a magazine owner.
It's kind of crazy because before I would be like, no, but as I am trying to step more into the content creator space, like I feel like people have called me a content creator for years, but I never really accepted that title because I just felt like a journalist or a writer or something.
Got
it. Yeah, so now my days are kind of starting to be more filled with content. So I try to do it on Saturdays, kind of in a batch, and then I have something for the week.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So before we start, the most important thing I need to know from the cafe is, what are you drinking today? Mine is usually coffee, but what is yours today?
So I'm a flavored water girl, but I have my Theories and Thoughts tumbler, which is our podcast. Yeah, but I have some, the flavor today is peach mango green tea.
Nice. Can I see that cup again?
Yeah, sure. So this is the front, and then it's personalized in the back.
See, I like that. So we matching here because we got the Sisters Cafe logo, and then we got the Gladys on the back. So we are matching today, and we'll get to that podcast in a little bit because that is one of the questions I wanted to ask you. But I wanted to start off with, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so I am Francesca. I go by Fancy. That's kind of what I prefer in a lot of ways. Okay. And I am the award-winning publisher and editor-in-chief of Swagher magazine, which is an empowerment and lifestyle publication for the Black woman that likes to keep it real in life and in business. And we also double as a PR boutique. But outside of that, I am a mom of 3. I was a former teen mom, and I'm back in school. So now I'm like I guess you'd say a non-traditional student at the time. Okay. And I'm also the one half of Theories and Thoughts podcast, as you kind of mentioned. And I'm also a bulletin writer, though Bulletin is about to come to an end. It has been a wonderful experience, and it has really helped to elevate me in business in a lot of ways. So I would have to say that's kind of it. Well, I'm from Mississippi, so I'm a country girl,
Okay. So my question is, Mom, what are you, boys, girls, mixture?
Mixture. My son is 23. My girls are 18 and 16.
Oh, wow. Boy and girls. Well, I'm a boy mom. Just put that out there. I'm a boy mom. I'm 27, 25, 24.
Oh, so okay.
And I just had a grandbaby in last December. So this is my first girl experience. I'm so used to boys, but when I tell you it's super, long as I don't have to comb her hair or nothing, we good. That's the worst thing. Long as her mama comb her hair before she send it to me, we fine. But I'm thrilled. So congratulations though on everything. I know you don't know because we haven't talked, but I've kind of watched you for a little bit. I saw a post a while ago, and it was the name of the magazine that got me, because I'm like, Swagher. I'm like, that's me. That is so me. And I felt empowered. I felt bossed up. You know what I mean? I felt classy. This is what Swagher means to me. Like I said, I know we never talked, so you don't actually know that part. But I have. I friended you a while ago, liked the magazine a while ago, and just kind of been watching and following. And I kept saying, I got to get in there. So yes, I am at some point going to become a client because I've watched it and I'm like, okay, I like the way this looks. I like the way the branding looks. You're doing an excellent job. So I just wanted you to know that. But behind the name, what inspired the name?
So, well, first off, thank you so much for all of that. I greatly appreciate it. It's always good to know that someone's paying attention and actually, looking at things in detail. Right. I greatly appreciate that. And so the name was, I mean, we've been around since 2010. And so I don't know if you remember people still swag surf to this day, but it was actually watching an award show. I think it was on BET when they swag surf. And for me, just watching them, this country girl from a small town with these big city dreams, like that feeling that I felt, it resonated with me in such a way that, and the people in the audience at the show, like they were all into it as well. And you just kind of felt that through the screen. And so I wanted something that kind of embraced that. But initially it was Swagger with the double G. And so with our first issue, the graphic designer looked at it and he was like, if this is going to be a magazine for women, it should be Swagher. You should change it to an H. So Thank you, Robert Jackson, for that, because, and he probably only designed that one issue for us, but he doesn't know just how, how significant. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Wow, you should probably call him and tell him.
I should, because I just shared that in an interview the other day. And I was like, you know what? I don't really, I should let Robert know this. I should.
I say that because I have something similar. So I do a singles community called Solo Mojo. And it was simply the girl that was doing my hair. I was like, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to set people up. It's not speed dating. It's not hooking up. It's helping people be okay with being single while they're single. So get you some mojo about being solo. That is all it was. And I was like, maybe it should be this. And then she just blurted out the name. And I was like, that's it. And that's how it happened. So I give her credit, even so I'm writing a book, Solo Mojo, but I'm give her credit in the book because that's significant. It is. And it's just, and it's people are looking for these big old things coming out of heaven when it's that simple. That's simple. So we just have to be open though. You know what I mean?
Right.
You could have been like, no, that's not what I wanted. You didn't, you was like, okay, I see you. So I think as a visionary, that's what makes you a good visionary and a good leader is when you're open to hear things that might not be exactly what you said. So, kudos to you and shout out, what'd you say his name was?
Robert Jackson.
Shout out to Robert Jackson for doing that. Because I think that's what caught my attention, seriously, the Swagher. And I'm like,
what caught my attention is that you said it correctly when we came on, because oftentimes people, I don't know, it's like they just kind of say it differently. Maybe it's because I am from the South and, I have an accent, but you said it right. And a lot of times it's like people, they stretch it out or extend it, and when they write it, they'll write it as two different words, and I'm like, why don't they see that it's just one word?
It's one, right?
That's
it, and it stands out, especially me being an empowerment individual. Sisters Cafe is all about that, all about the empowerment, and not only that, empowering one another, because I think women are the most amazing creatures in the world. Do you know the amount of things we get done? Sick, dead, bleeding, whatever, it don't even matter. We just get it done. We don't have the option to say, oh, I got a cold. No. Okay, stick some, it's funny, but I used to, when my nose was running, I'd stick tissue in my nose and keep it moving. I don't have time to keep wiping my nose. I got work to do. And I would literally be at work with tissue in my nose, or at home. My boys be like, Mom, I don't have time to keep wiping.
I get it.
Come on, let's get it going. We got to keep this going.
Stuff to do.
So what prompted you from going to just the magazine to magazine and media?
So really, of course, we offer advertisement as a magazine, right? And we predominantly deal with small Black-owned businesses. And what I noticed is it wasn't enough, especially because we print in mass, but we're still not in bulk. We're not a part of a distributor chain or anything. So that makes a difference. And I wanted us to still have an impact with our clients. I still wanted us to do more for them. And I realized that oftentimes people would get a feature or they buy advertising for a period of time, and then they don't know how to, really use it or leverage it. They would just kind of let it fizzle down. Then they have to buy again, or, and so that inconsistency isn't a good look for a business owner. And I know that even for myself personally, So, with that and media, that allowed us to kind of dive into public relations, which is actually possibly my first love. And that's really what I wanted to do when I started the magazine. I would tell people about public relations, and for some reason they would tell me to interview people. And so I would interview people, and that's how we got started. But initially I wanted to be the one to set up those interviews and things along the lines of that, you know, do the media pitching and placement and so on.
Right. So let's talk about these theories and thoughts, though. I mean, these names, I'm loving them. I'm loving them. So what is theories and thoughts? What is the bottom line of the podcast?
We always say experience the magic that happens when Black women and sometimes men come together and share. And really it was inspired by the conversations that I would have with my co-hostess Anya. Anya also worked with the magazine. At one time she was an ambassador, then she became a journalist, then she became a manager editor, then she became a journalist again. So but we throughout that, like, we didn't know each other initially, but our friendship just developed, and we got to the point where we would talk almost every day, and we were talking about things oftentimes that, you know, a lot of women aren't they wouldn't share with each other, you know what I mean? Like, and I learned from her, and I think that she learned from me as well. And so we were saying more women should be able to have these type of conversations, or to hear these type of conversations. And so she always calls it kitchen table talk. It is I guess you say in some ways it's kitchen table talk, but we try to make it educational. You know, we try to talk about things that we feel like should be discussed more within the Black community. They call them taboo subjects, but to me it's just, you know, continuing to educate and empower.
That's amazing, because it's like we have so many things in common. It's the same thing for Sisters Cafe, where the motto here is when my sister wins, I win. So when we're here, it's one of those things. If you were to walk into the cafe, so the goal is to build a network of women. So let's say Swagher was in the network, which means everybody who came to Sisters Cafe that wanted PR, they go straight to you because you're in the network. So that's the goal of the whole thing. But I love that a sister can walk in and say, you know what, I know I make $200,000 a year, but I'm gonna quit my job and start my own business. Not one of us should say, oh girl, you crazy, that's $200,000. No, we say, look, okay, I got your LLC. I got your business cards. That's what the network comes in and does, because we're empowering each other. It's no judgment, it's no criticism. It's no backbiting. There's no complaining. It's just, hey, I got you 10,000%. So I love what you're doing over there with Swagher and Theories and Thoughts. So your tagline, though, our stories, our struggles, our success. Please tell me about that.
And like, we've actually kind of changed that, but initially, you know, it was always about just the sharing of the stories, because it was when I first started out, I knew I wanted to own a business, and I would run into these like affluent Black women, and I think they kind of felt sorry for me. And, you know, they saw how ambitious and eager I was to make it, you know, and so they would just share their stories with me. So I realized, like, for me, like I said, coming from a small town, that was just eye-opening. I hadn't ever met other Black business women until I moved to Baton Rouge.
Wow.
So it was like outside of like hairstylists, you know, that was it. So meeting these women and hearing their stories, it just really inspired me. And I was like, oh, more women need to hear these stories, you know? So that's kind of like where the stories comes in there. But then I feel like we oftentimes have struggles throughout life. You know, we all have our own struggles, but oftentimes people try to hide those. I think we're kind of shifting that now as more people are coming forward and kind of being honest and transparent about things. Yeah. So those were just those like struggle stories. And then successes, of course, is just, you know, there's a lot of Black women winning right now, even more so now as we've, you know, gotten older over the years. We're seeing it more frequently. So I just wanted to be able to share those women's successes and let other women see them and be inspired, and not just inspired, but also I try to make certain whenever I do my interviews that I'm still continuing that educational piece to things, you know, like I'd like to interview people that give something that my audience can take away and try to practice themselves, you know. That's really important to me.
That's good. And I like that you're not saying just the struggles. I like the fact that it's a success. I love to hear praise reports. I love to hear stories that come out on top. We was here, now we here. I love those stories because it makes you feel like you can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I hear that you did this, or I started from the ground, or this how it, people think when they see some of us, they immediately think this is where we started. Not understanding that it started first was being real scared, talking about we can't do that. That's crazy. I'm working on an expo now, the Best Version of Me expo. It's so many, every day I say to myself, you tripping. That's way too much. Sit down somewhere. And then the next day I'll be like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. Mm-hmm. And the next day I'm like, look, no, this is too much. And I'm like, I wonder how many women go through that. I wonder how many people who actually reach their, and I don't want to say reach, because do you ever reach it? Isn't it always?
I think it comes back because to me, it almost sounds like imposter syndrome,
Okay.
And I know a lot of people don't believe in imposter syndrome, but I feel like I believe in it because I feel like I've experienced it, overcame it, and then experienced it again. Like I recently even just experienced it not too long ago. And even with what you were saying about, kind of like thinking that you're doing too much. I was just sharing that right now, I feel like in my life, I'm doing everything that my ex made me feel like I was trying to do too much. When I told him what all I wanted to do this year, was like, it was almost with each new thing, he was looking like, dang, now you want to do this too? And you already, and so now, but when I look back, I was like, you know what? Because I sensed it. He never said it, but I sensed it. And now when I look back, I'm like, you know what? I'm doing everything I told him I was going to do. And I'm very proud of myself.
And you should be. And you should be. I saw a post on Facebook and I kept it. And it says, when somebody says you can't, take a picture. Do it and take a picture. And that's why I don't usually block people. I let them watch.
I don't either.
Watch me do it. And that's what it is. Now, back in the day, you could have said, don't do this, no matter who it was. Don't do it. And I'll be like, maybe they're right. Maybe I should listen. Now you tell me, maybe that's too much. And it makes me want to go harder. Harder. So I'm in the same experience where he said, well, maybe you should do it on a smaller scale first. What you mean? Like, watch me do it. Tell you what, go ahead and have a seat. Watch me do it. And that's just how I feel about it. But I'm not saying, the fear will come, but we have to overcome that fear. Absolutely have to overcome, because I feel like at the end of the day, the only failure is if we didn't try it. So that's where my mind is. If this thing is big and it fails big time, guess what? I'm going to sit in the middle of the floor and be like, but I'm in here right now, though. Maybe nobody does show up. Maybe I didn't have enough vendors. Maybe I didn't get enough sponsors. But guess what? I did it. And guess what? I will do it again next year until this place gets to a point where people are calling me saying, hey, can I be a part of the Best Version of Me Expo? That's where I'm going. And I encourage you to do the same thing, whatever it is. If you had an idea and you thought, nah, I'm doing too much, do it. And if you need help, call me and I'll be like, all right, let's go. Let's do this. Because I believe in that. And I believe that people should follow their dreams 1,000%. Follow your dreams.
I also think too, when we have those moments, one thing I like to do is like look back at things I have accomplished, already before that you thought may have been impossible, but you still were able to pull them off. Like when I do that, that kind of gives me the strength to like be like, okay, you know what, you can go ahead on and still try this. You can do this.
And think about this as well. I often, and this was my affirmation, I guess, to myself, or my way of encouragement, I would actually go read stories of people I believe are great now. I think about J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. She was told no 72 times. 72 times she was told no. And then finally that last person, I bet they're glad they said yes. Michael Jordan, Disney, they said he wasn't creative in the Walt Disney. In college, the professor told him he was not creative enough. Imagine that. Wow. So these are the things I look back. Nobody just woke up and was like, boom, I'm here. You know what I mean? So it's going to take work. I think about actors, where we see actors come out and we be like, wow, they're amazing. Not knowing they spent the last 20 years working at it. 20 years. We didn't know what they was doing for 20 years. And all of a sudden they big, but they work for it.
Yep, we didn't recognize them for one. Oftentimes we realize like they were there all along.
You ever go back and watch like A Different World or Cosby Show, and you be like, Everybody.
Also, Law and Order. Everybody was on Law and Order at some point in time before and they got
paid no attention to them. None. And it's amazing though. It's amazing. We have to start from somewhere. So yeah, follow your dreams. And I would admonish everybody who's listening to follow your dreams. How can we stay connected to the Swagher magazine?
So, of course, our website is Swagher Online. That's SWAGHER online.com. We also still use our swagger.net URL. So if you use that one, because that's the one you'll probably most see, it does still direct you to the swaggeronline.com. And then, of course, we are on all social media networks as Swagher Magazine, including Instagram and Facebook. We're kind of working on our TikTok. And so then that's everything Swagger. But as for me, all of my URLs or handles is Fancy Swagger across the board, except my link tree is Fancy Styles.
Okay. That's amazing. That's amazing. So before I let you go, though, is there anything that you would like to say to the audience?
I guess I would have to say, stay tuned for our next issue that's about to be released, the healing issue. We really put a lot into it, and I love how the journalists come up with their different takes on healing, because each issue has a theme. So I ask you all to look out for that and, support and share it with a friend.
All right. Well, we thank you very, very much. Everybody, remember to go to www.sisterscafeinc.com to stay connected so you don't miss the interviews, you don't miss the podcast, you don't miss nothing. And we'll see you again next time for another episode of Sisters Cafe.
Greetings, guys. It's Fancy, CEO of Swagger Magazine and Media. And after a long week, I like to tune in with Gladys Bowden of Sisters Cafe.